Nicky here at Ascot for what's a pretty quiet meeting actually now. Lots of non-runners owing to the ground. Significantly, of course, your stable star, Constitution, are not going to take his chance in the big one. Just explain your reasoning behind that.
Well, it's all to do with ground. We were pretty nervous yesterday. And last night, Alan King and I were both, he'd had Edwardstone due to run here today, and obviously with ourselves, Constitution Hill. And we did ask Chris Stickles, we said, honestly, we are worried. And, but nobody's blaming Ascot or anybody or Chris. It's sort of the same thing has happened over the last 3 weekends. Cheltenham, Newbury, and now here. A lot of rain midweek. Everybody thought, great, this was good to soft in places in Swindley Bottom. Newbury was the same, Cheltenham was the same, but I think it has to go back to the dry summer and what's been happening all autumn. And this water is just, like Keith Henderson told me at Newbury, he said, I cannot believe where 1.5 inches rain went on the Wednesday, and we were having to take horses out on the Friday because it was too quick. And that is what has happened here. As Chris said to me just now, he really isn't surprised we're not running. He'll admit that it's not what he wanted. And it's obviously not what we want. Sleepless night, as you can imagine, worrying about whether we would or whether we wouldn't. To be fair, as soon as I walked out there, and Nico had already been all the way round, it was not a difficult decision. It was, as JP puts it in Rebels, if you ask the question, you know the answer. Yeah. And there we are.
And if this was at the end of the season, would you still be putting him out, or is it because it's his first of the year and it could have sort of potential and impact on him getting jarred up sort of further on down the line?
This horse is a bit different to most. I mean, I'm not running our bumper horse, which I'm dying to run. He went to Sandown the other day and we couldn't run him because actually the meeting was abandoned halfway through. And he couldn't run because it was too soft because it flooded. Now we can't run because it's too quick, Pat Sexton and great. I mean, the horse is called Immortal. Yeah. So at least he's still immortal because I'm not trying to wreck him anyway. If this was the champion hurdle, would you run? You'd have to ask the question. Would I? I don't know. You might have to. But when you have something like Constitution Hill, we've been very lucky. We've had a lot of very good horses. But I mean, this could be something quite ridiculous. And my job is to mind it and make sure it's here for years to come. And Michael Buckley, he's been with me since year dot, so he knows the game as well as I do, and he knows that if you do unearth a bit of a jewel, you've got to look after it. And that's our responsibility, not only to Michael, but to racing itself, in that it's sad for everybody today. I did try and warn last night that this was very possible, that the scenario would be likely. But disappointing for everybody, but promise you it's more disappointing for us than it is for anybody else.
Are you surprised how quickly this horse has become almost public property? I mean, he hadn't even made his debut for you less than a year ago.
But if you'd asked me this time last year, I'd have said he was probably very moderate. I had no idea. And that's just the way he is. He's got a wonderful mind. He just takes everything so relaxed. He's had a day out. He'll be asleep in the stables. Well, they're on their way home now, but I mean, he'll be asleep in the morning. He'll go home and sleep again.
So now you've got a quandary.
Yes.
Do you go to Newcastle next week for the fighting fit, which you did keep him in, of course?
We are actually, as you know, at the moment, still, I'm talking to Michael. Right, options, if you like. Fighting fifth, which takes you into the Christmas hurdle. Not the biggest reason not to do it is Epitante goes there, she's won it the last 2 years. That doesn't matter. JP would understand. He's always...
So you wouldn't be afraid of taking Epitante
No,
on?
if we have to, we have to. Because it leads you into the Christmas hurdle, which of course has been Epitante's domain the last 2 years. But that's not the point. JP would understand that. He's always said I'm not frightened to. If you're going to run 2, you know what happens in Ireland and everything. I mean, how many runners has Willie got in the Morgiana? 3 of the 4. He has to, because he's got so many of them. We're lucky to have 2. But there is a programme, and there is nowhere else to go. Now, the alternative, which I do quite like, is the international, Unibet International Hurdle on December the 10th. I can remember the date because I need a birthday present. I quite like that. Again, he gets a £3 penalty, but only 3 instead of 6 because he's a novice when he won his grade 1. Which could take you either into, bravely, you could say Ireland, or more realistically, would take you to the Champion Hurdle Trial at Haydock on the 21st. If you went to Newcastle, well, then obviously he goes Christmas Hurdle, and they both meet.